Farewell to the God of War. Episode 3. After 5 years, the charm of Sassy's mother was still the same, and her appearance has hardly changed. After several years of military service, although the outline of Asher has not changed greatly, his whole spirit has changed dramatically. In the eyes of Sassy's mother, Asher was already dead, so she was both surprised and angry when she saw Asher again. "Mom. It's me." Asher Young's face showed a soft smile, and this time, he just want to make good compensation for Sassy. "It's really you, the loser." Sassy's mother finally confirmed that the man in front of her was Asher. She stood with arms akimbo, looked like a shrew. She said angrily, "You didn't come back early or late. But when Sassy is about to marry, you came back. Did you intend to make trouble?" At this time, Sassy's father also ran over. He saw Asher and heard Sassy's mother's words. Without saying a word, he punched Asher and angrily yelled, "I will kill you, you bastard. How dare you come back?" A huge figure came in an instant. He grabbed Sassy's father's arm and said coldly, "No one can hurt him." It was Mac who stopped Sassy's father. He followed Asher for many years on the battlefield. He was very strong and fierce. His appearance immediately frightened Sassy's father. "Get out of here." Asher's voice was as cold as frost. His gaze was like blade. Although Mac was very unwilling, but for Asher's order, he will never violate, so he could only let go. "Sorry, sir. If you know you're wrong, you can get out of here. You can't interfere in my thing without my order." Asher's face was cold. At the moment, Asher inadvertently released a touch of coldness, which made Sassy's father and mother realize that their son-in-law, who had disappeared for 5 years, seemed to be a little different. However, this idea just flashed away. In their view, Asher was only a loser. With Mac's appearance, Sassy's father and mother no longer dared to hurt Asher. "You dare to hurt me? Get out of here, now," Sassy's father said angrily. If it was not for fear of that burly man just now, he would have hit Asher. Asher was angry, but when he thought of the figure who he had missed for 5 years, he suppressed his anger. He constantly warned himself that he came back this time to compensate Sassy, and he could bear anything. He can't leave. He's back just at the proper time. Today let him and Sassy go through the divorce procedures, so tomorrow we can get Sassy and Zoran engaged, and we won't have to handle the death certificates. Sassy's mother took Asher's arm in a hurry, for fear that Asher would leave. Sassy's father also suddenly realized that. He took another arm of Asher. "You are right. When Sassy comes back, you go get divorced." Asher was forced into the courtyard. It looked like that the two elders were enthusiastic to their son-in-law. Entering the room, Asher saw a large banquet table in the living room, where there were many people around. They were all relatives. Among these relatives, there was a strange face. He was a young man wearing clothes of famous brands. He showed his wrist intentionally. He wore a valuable Rolex. All the relatives around seemed to be sitting around him. At the moment, the young man was squinting at Asher, who was taken by Sassy's parents. On the dining table, there was a big cake. It seemed that someone was going to have a birthday. But in Asher's memory, the birthday of Sassy or her parents was not today. So whose birthday was this? A group of relatives were just talking about getting a death certificate for Asher. All of them were frightened after seeing him. But soon they all looked excited and waited for the show. Asher? Isn't he missing for 5 years? Why did he come back all of a sudden? He came back when Zoran is going to marry Sassy. I'm afraid he has other ideas. Other ideas? In front of Zoran, he is just a loser. Unless he qualified to fight with Zoran? All the relatives were talking in a low voice. But although they lowered their voices, everyone could hear them. And the young man, who was called Zoran, also clearly heard them. Zoran seemed to have heard nothing. He looked at Sassy's mother and said, "Auntie, who is this?" Sassy's mother sneered and looked at Asher with disgust. "He is the loser who has disappeared for 5 years. I'm going to get the death certificate for him, but he suddenly came out. But you can rest assured that he came back just in time. It takes time to get the death certificate, but the divorce procedure can be done today." Sassy's mother made no secret of her intention to let Sassy divorce Asher. After finishing talking to Zoran, she said triumphantly, "Asher, he is Zoran, the eldest son of the Wayne family in Jiangnan. In a few years, he will inherit the position of the head of the family. I advise you not to have any indecent thoughts about Sassy. We have agreed to their marriage. If you have any self-knowledge, you should go and handle the divorce procedures after Sassy comes back. Don't destroy her happiness." The relatives also talked at the moment. In front of Zoran, everyone wanted to take the opportunity to please the man. Asher's gaze sharpened, but it flashed away. These relatives were really annoying. If it wasn't for Sassy, he could teach them a lesson right away. Zoran was very satisfied. With a proud look, he leaned on his chair and gently shook the goblet which was filled with wine. He looked at Asher with a smile and joked, "I wonder what you have done in the 5 years since you disappeared?" Asher looked at him faintly, "Be a soldier." "A soldier? You didn't raise pigs in the army for 5 years, did you?" Haha. Before Zoran responded, some relatives suddenly burst out laughing and other relatives at the same table all laughed maliciously. Asher was silent. With a smile on his lips, Zoran took out a check, wrote his name, pushed it to Asher, and said boldly, "You should see that Queen family doesn't welcome you. You must come back for money. As long as you are willing to divorce Sassy, you can fill in the numbers you want on this check. And you can cash it in any bank in Jiangnan." The gazes of the relatives sharpened at this time. They wished that the check was for them. "Zoran, you don't need to give him money. Sassy is my daughter. If I want them to divorce, they must do that. Why should we give him money?" Sassy's mother looked at the check, as if she was the one who took out the money. Zoran's eyes flashed a trace of disdain, but he still said smilingly, "Auntie, money is just a string of numbers for me. I don't want to create extra troubles. I just want to let Sassy to be single as soon as possible." Listen to Zoran say so, Sassy's mother dared not say anything more. But her gaze toward Asher was more gloomy. Asher picked up the check. Just when everyone thought he was going to take it, Asher tore the check into pieces in public. Then he looked at Zoran calmly. "If Sassy wants to divorce me, I will never stay here, but if she doesn't want to, no one can interfere in our affairs." If there were his brothers in the north, they would know that when Asher in this calm state, it was the most dangerous state. Zoran's eyes narrowed slightly. The youth in front of him made him feel a little pressure and this feeling was very uncomfortable. The others were all gloating. They thought that Asher dared to offend Zoran and he would get into trouble. Just at the critical moment, a sound of crisp high-heeled shoes trampling on the floor sounded, and then 2 figures appeared. They were Sassy and a little girl. "Zoran, why are you here again? This is my home. You are not welcome. Please get out of here at once." When Sassy saw Zoran, she immediately became gloomy and ordered him to leave. Hearing this familiar voice, Asher trembled suddenly. He had thought about the scene of meeting Sassy again for countless times. But when he was really going to face Sassy, he found that the previous drills were useless. At this time, he did not dare to look back. He was deeply sorry for the woman whom he had missed for 5 years. "Dad!" Before Asher turned back, a familiar voice suddenly sounded behind him. He suddenly trembled, and turned to see a petite figure rushing over. It was the little girl who pestered him and called him father at the airport. Asher squatted down and naturally took the little girl into his arms. As if he had held the little girl countless times. This moment, Sassy also saw Asher. They looked at each other. For a time, the space seemed to have solidified. In the past 5 years, this figure had appeared in his mind countless times. The yearning and guilt for this woman was the driving force for him to become stronger and stronger. In order to match her, Asher gritted his teeth and survived. Sassy closely stared at the figure. There were too many emotions floating on her beautiful face. "Sassy, I'm back." Asher took the lead to break the silence. For more episode, don't forget to subscribe.